Spotify has erased nearly $60 billion in market cap since its all-time high. The stock is down roughly 37% from its peak and around the high 20% range over the past year. But here's what makes that decline so interesting. Spotify's stock is declining while the fundamentals of the underlying business haven't changed. In fact, they're delivering record subscriber count, record gross margins, and billions in free cash flow. The company is more profitable, has more users, generates more cash, and has more ways to grow, and it's also substantially cheaper than it did near its all-time highs. Spotify's stock gained nearly 138% in 2024, and then another 30% in 2025, and the stock peaked out at around $776 per share. At that price, expectations became way too aggressive. Investors were assuming that subscriber growth, margin expansion, and guidance would be perfect for nearly every quarter moving forward. Once a stock reaches that point, even strong results can lead to a sell-off. Spotify added nearly 16 million users in Q2 and roughly 777 million in total. And that was 12% growth year over year, but unfortunately it was still 1 million below management's target. Management also expects to add roughly 11 million users in Q3, which would take the total to roughly 788 million. That represents continued growth, but at a slower pace than the market thought. Management is also focusing on marketing, cloud infrastructure, and investing in AI. And the market focused on those weaknesses and reset the valuation. But the reaction actually has now created a much better setup. Investors are no longer being asked to pay an extreme price for perfect execution. Spotify has fallen sharply, while its fundamentals have only gotten better. And so this is not a turnaround story where we need to hope that the business eventually improves. The business is already improving. And the opportunity comes from the market focusing on slower user additions rather than focusing on the much more transformational thing that's happening inside the company. And before we get deeper into the valuation and the other things that encompass Spotify, we need to really understand what Spotify actually is. Spotify is often described as a music streaming application, but that description has become increasingly outdated as of late. The company is building one global platform that encompasses everything audio. They have music, podcasts, audiobooks, video advertising, and discovery all in one. It offers more than 100 million tracks, 7 million podcast titles, and over 700,000 audiobooks. It has 777 million total monthly users, alongside 300 million premium subscribers and 494 million ad-supported monthly users. That scale is extremely hard to replicate. The free service brings users onto the platform, and it builds their listening history, which then allows them to monetize their users through advertising. And premium then provides the recurring revenue that actually drives Spotify's business. But Spotify's real advantage, however, is actually personalization. Every time someone plays, skips, saves, fast forwards their favorite music, Spotify learns a little bit more about them. And that data powers a whole bunch of things. Release Radar, Spotify Wrapped, audiobook recommendations, and its AI-powered DJ. So with that in mind, Apple, Amazon, and YouTube, yes, they can offer the same songs, but what they can't replace is Spotify's moat. Spotify has years of listening recommendations, years of listening history, saved libraries, playlists. Spotify also benefits from a powerful data advantage. More users generates more information, which in turn generates more knowledge for better personalization and discovery, which in turn then creates more users, and the circle goes on and on. So it's important to note that for most of Spotify's history, investors had one major concern. Could this company ever generate strong profits after paying the record labels and other rights to holders? And the latest quarter, which I'm going to break down right now, gave us the clearest answer yet. So as we can see, revenue reached nearly 4.87 billion euros, and it was increasing nearly 14% year over year, or 15% in the same constant currency. And just to note, that growth also accelerated from the previous quarter, roughly 5% quarter over quarter. We also have to touch on the premium revenue because it increased 15% to 4.33 billion euros. And then paying subscribers grew 9% to 300 million. And with 7 million net additions, which was actually 1 million more than management even expected themselves. And we can also see that premium average revenue per user increased 7% to 4.89 euros. And Spotify is actually adding more paying subscribers while also earning more from each one, helped by previous price increases. releases. But the most important development that the market is going to love is the margin expansion that we can see here. Gross margin reached an all-time high of 33.4%, which was nearly 2 percentage points year over year. And the premium gross margin reached 34.9%, while the ad-supported segment actually reached 19.1%. And then lastly, the operating income increased 61% to 655 million euros, which produced a 13.7% operating margin. And so Spotify is showing that as the platform itself grows, a larger percentage of each additional euro of revenue can reach the bottom line and inherently make the company more profitable. And lastly, the chart that everyone loves is the free cash flow. So as we can see here, free cash flow reached nearly 797 million euros during Q2, which was a record for a second quarter, and nearly 3.3 billion euros over the trailing 12 months. Spotify also finished the quarter with nearly $9.4 billion in cash and investments, and through August 3rd, Spotify had repurchased nearly $662 million of stock year to date. And this is actually 30% more than its 2025 repurchase level over the exact same comparable period. So what is important here is it's a major change from the Spotify investors several years ago. The company is actually proving to us that its business model can generate meaningful margins, billions in free cash flow, and even after paying record labels and other rights to holders. And so perhaps the most important and exciting part of the entire story is that Spotify has actually built the audience, but they haven't even come close to monetizing the entire thing. Spotify has 494 million ad-supported monthly users, and roughly alongside 300 million that Spotify can monetize, both through advertising and subscriptions. Pricing is another major opportunity. Premium average revenue per user grew 7% last quarter, while Spotify still added nearly 7 million subscribers. And that provides evidence that previous price increases have not stopped the company from growing its premium user base. As Spotify adds podcasts, audiobooks, video, and stronger personalization, it makes premium actually more valuable, which then potentially gives the company more room to increase prices over time. And then lastly, advertising. And Spotify already has the part that most companies struggle to build. They have 494 million ad-supported monthly users, significant engagement, and years of personal licensing data. These products increase engagement and make the overall subscription much more valuable. So now that we know that Spotify is under monetized, I wanted to actually break down the valuation method for you, because a company like this with such sticky recurring services deserves a kind of different valuation premium than most people actually expect. And so in our Patreon group, we have it listed as a buy with a price target of nearly $645. There's three fundamental ways that we broke down Spotify. So the first is a DCF model, which is a really standard way of valuing most companies. Then we have an EV to sales method, which just stands for a discounted cash flow model, and there's an EV to EBITDA model as well. So the current price right now is roughly anywhere from $490 to $505 at the time of this recording, which in all three models we use, so the DCF model, the EV to sales model, and the EV to EBITDA model, all give us around 30 to 35% upside. So just quickly, okay, well, why do we use the DCF model? Because Spotify has such strong free cash flow, where they generated nearly 800 million last quarter, and that's in euros, that is, and they had nearly 3.3 billion euros of free cash flow just last year. This is the highest free cash flow the company has ever reported, while Q2 free cash flow is actually within touching distance of all-time highs. And what's even more impressive is Spotify has delivered a 5-year free cash flow compounded growth rate of nearly 65%, which has also been a massive key driver behind the stock's exceptional performance. And so when we look ahead for the rest of the year of 2026, the free cash flow is expected to come in around 3.4 billion. And analysts are forecasting 3.9 billion and 4.5 billion over the following 2 years. So what we would do then is apply growth rates of 12 and 10% to reflect a gradual moderation as the market matures. And so we do not view these assumptions as very aggressive at all. And they're actually probably really conservative given just how dominant Spotify's competitive position and strong moat is. With that said, our DCF gives us a nice value of roughly $655 from here, which would be a 14% compounded annual growth rate, which is actually above the S&P profitability and would likely outperform it over the next couple of years. Moving on to a method behind our EV to sales multiple. EV to sales multiple is easier to understand, and so is the EV to EBITDA multiple, so we'll run through them here. Spotify delivered roughly $4.7 billion of revenue, which was broadly in line with management's guidance, and management has a very good history of hitting their guidance and actually exceeding it. And this was also supported by a very strong monthly user base, which is increasing nearly 12% year over year to roughly 777 million, alongside the more continued monetization that we talked about. And this would allow premium subscribers to continue growing, as we can already see that they grew 9%, and ad-supported monthly active users rose nearly 14%. So based on these assumptions, we can get a very conservative $640 a share, which isn't too far off of our discounted cash flow model. And then moving on to the EV to EBITDA multiple, revenue growth is expected to moderate to around 14% over the next 12 months. Their EBITDA growth remains considerably stronger at around 24%. And so the backdrop for this is actually very, very encouraging, because like I mentioned earlier in the video, gross margin has reached an all-time high of 33.4%, which actually supports greater EBITDA generation, and management also guided roughly 670 million euros to Q3 operating profit, which would represent the company's second highest quarterly operating profit to date. So we forecasted the next 12 months of EBITDA to be approximately $3.4 billion. And while yes, Spotify's growth profile is maturing, but they can deliver this level of EBITDA growth at its current scale and profitability means that this company is doing it very, very efficiently, and it's really impressive. So based on these assumptions, we also get around a $645 per share target for the EV to EBITDA multiple. And so as you can see, all three of these different valuation methods all warrant anywhere from a 30 to 35% price increase. And for our full valuation model and our price targets, the bear, the base, the bull case, it's all available on our Patreon, and there's a free trial, so go check it out. So while the fundamentals show us that Spotify is attractive for the long term, it doesn't necessarily show us where the stock is going in the short term. And so after what we broke down, and with roughly 777 million monthly users, even small improvements can make a huge difference in the company and their performance over the long term. And we believe because of these reasons, management can create a ton of shareholder value. That is why we believe that this weakness should be viewed as a huge buying opportunity for a company that has such a strong moat and creates such strong cash flow. As always, this is not financial advice, and it's important that you do your own research. But if this helped you understand Spotify a little bit differently, hit like and subscribe, and definitely let me know in the comments, are you buying this Spotify sell-off or not? We're genuinely curious to hear all of your answers, and we'll see you in the next video, guys.